Yo, Joe! G.I. Joe, real American hero. G.I. Joe's there. It's G.I. Joe versus Cobra and Destro. Fighting safe today. They never give up, they're always there. Da 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 do. Something, something, G.I. Joe. I can't sing for crap. Welcome to part 2 of my ongoing series of me trying to debunk the Mandela Effect. Now, in my last video, part 1, I don't think I mentioned that I actually am a believer in this effect, and me trying to debunk this is I'm actually trying to add legitimacy to this theory. The major items that comes to when debunking any theory or trying to prove it is you need to have evidence. And it baffles me that people actually don't dismiss any evidence as right away as fake. I mean, people, YouTubers especially, YouTubers who claim to have 1000%, real evidence. They even post a stupid thumbnail and a picture of them of whatever it is that they're trying to prove, right? But in the end, they're not proving anything, and anything that they do have is obviously photoshopped. Case in point, here we have an example of Berenstain Bears and the Sinbad movie. None of these actually happened. It's just bad Photoshop and it's not proof. Pretty bold claim I'm making, right? That all evidence regarding this or trying to prove it is all fake. Well, yeah, it really is all fake. And you have to think about it this way, right? If the timelines did change, as it supposedly did, right, then the evidence would also change. So something that said, for example, Berenstain Bears, what cover was on there, whatever it was printed on, that would actually physically change to Berenstain Bears. The best way to actually probably describe this is actually from Back to the Future 2. This is the scene in question. Marty's burning the sports almanac, what caused all the problem for him and his family, causing the alternate timeline where Biff was like some casino owner. Notice now Biff's pleasure palace is turning back into Biff's auto detailing, right? Similar to, well, let's look at this part right here. In the newspaper he's holding, George McFly murdered his father, changes to George McFly honored. Exact same thing that would happen in our timeline. What happens to the matchbook and what happens to the newspaper is exactly what would happen to any pieces of evidence that would have come from the other timeline. They would have been changed to reflect what is in this current timeline. So you see that even though the timeline has now been changed and the physical evidence has now reflects what is in this timeline, right? Marty still has memories of that matchbook. Marty has memories of that newspaper. Though, if Marty wanted to find a copy of that newspaper that said his father's dead, or that matchbook that said Biff's Pleasure Palace, they will not exist. All they will be is just memories. Now, what I'm trying to say is that in this scenario, in the Mandela Effect, we are Marty. We are remembering these things that we see, but there is no physical evidence out there because, again, any physical evidence would have changed to reflect whatever timeline we're in, or whatever universe we're in, whatever you want to call it. Now, I'm all for gathering new evidence regarding the Mandela Effect. I actually have one in my head that I'm trying to figure out. But what I actually do not like, though, is that, or rather what I'm against, is people blaming every mismemory or every misconception on the Mandela Effect. Every day I see some new things. People are claiming like, I've seen this, but I remember it this other way. One that I saw was Mountain Dew saying MTN. Well, that actually is both. The MTN is the new design, Mountain Dew actually saying Full Mountain is the old design, right? Things like that are what cheapen the Mandela Effect. And we can again blame things on misconceptions or illegitimate memories as sort of quasi-evidence about what I'm talking about. Remember earlier in the video when I was singing, well, trying to sing the G.I. Joe song, intro song, right? Well, it's actually not Go Joe, it's actually Yo Joe, right? And when they actually say, G.I. Joe is there, they're actually saying he is always there and he will never back down. It's not there. We just assume it's there. Or some of us might have thought it's there because of all the Joes that are on screen. So our mind naturally would go to the word there not him, not he, not singular. So it's those type of things that we cannot blame on the Mandela effect, but rather that's just basic human psychology. So to recap this video, all evidence pointing to it is fake. All right, all of it is. There's no reason for there to be any real evidence, because any real evidence would have changed to reflect this current timeline or this current dimension. Now, I hope all of you have enjoyed my theory. If you enjoy my thoughts, if you want to hear more, by all means, I encourage you to subscribe, but only subscribe if you want to. Don't feel that there's any obligation. I don't want to be one of those YouTubers that starts off with, please subscribe now, or anything like that. No. If you legitimately like what I say, I will encourage it, and I thank you for the audience. Also, have yourself a wonderful day.